Ready?
Sure. Hello, thank you for joining us today. Today I'm going to be reviewing our RX 5000 Alpha BEV unit here. This is Atago's one of our very powerful benchtop refractometers. So just wanted to kind of give you guys a general overview of not only this unit, but just sort of how our RXs operate in general, and all the different applications that are available. So this is, you've noticed from the name, has BEV in it for beverage. It is going to feature a flat sample stage here, and that's going to be, specific to the beverage application. But with our RXs in general, there's just so many different options. You can look at syrups, concentrates, juices. We have customers who are looking at liquid virus samples. You could even do something like, sauces, soups. Any sort of range here is available because this does cover all the way from 0 to 100 for Brix in doing the refraction. We also do have two scales with this one, so it's going to be both Brix and ND or refractive index. So depending on what your protocol calls for, you will have that flexibility with this unit. Again, this is a very powerful unit, so you're not only going to have that 0 to 100 range, but you are going to have an accuracy level that is quite high as well. I believe with this unit you're looking at plus or minus 0.03% for Brix, and we do have different iterations, so we have 5000I, 5000 alpha, so there are some fluctuations there, but this is really going to provide a lot of flexibility. And another important thing is the customizability, which we'll kind of look at firsthand here, but lots of room to set the parameters and kind of do what you want with the instrument, which is a really nice feature. So I do want to give you guys kind of a better look at the layout of the instrument. So again, this is a refractometer. We have done some meetups on the handheld refractometers in the past. This will be a little bit different in terms of how it's designed, but the function is the same. So for the RX here, I'm going to just go ahead and flip it around. Hopefully we can get a decent look here. So we can see here at the back we have a simple power switch, operates similar to the start function with a handheld. We have the AC input for generating our power. A couple neat things with this instrument. We do have the ability to hook up to a printer, and that way you can generate those reports instantaneously when you are taking your measurements. It can automatically print out. It's going to have dates, it'll have time, the Brix or ND reading, it'll all be featured right there for you. We also do have RS-232C hookup here, so essentially that's going to enable you to hook up to a PC, and from there you can review your data as well. So there is a special cable and port for that. Here we just have the standard intake fan, pretty straightforward. So lots of features there. Something that some people don't quite recognize, sorry, I'll pull that back here. So we have these rubber stands here, but there actually is, scoot that up. Sorry for these momentary difficulties here in terms of visibility. We can actually adjust these though according to the environment at hand. So if you are dealing with a slightly uneven surface, we do have the ability to adjust these rubber stands on the bottom, which is quite nice. Actually going to really affect certain situations, especially when we have a flat sample stage like this. You're going to want to take advantage of that, especially if you're looking for lots of measurements on basically on a consistent basis to keep that repeatability high there. So I'm going to flip the unit around here just a little bit. So that's part of the design, but what you're probably most curious about here is we have the screen and interactive buttons here, which are going to basically allow you to kind of, that grants you the customizability, and we can just simply press each one of these to navigate the menu as we will. And this, you might have recognized this kind of design just like our handhelds. This is our sample stage, and that is going to be our prism where the refraction is occurring. So the instrument is able to essentially give you a breakdown of the dissolved solids in your sample and report that back to you. So you'll note it's 100% flat there. This is a key feature of this instrument, so you don't have to kind of dig into crevices. Can very efficiently just kind of apply and clean the unit of sample. So really nice feature if you're looking at various beverage solutions. Did kind of want to highlight this. So this is the cover plate up at the top section here. That's actually going to do a few cool things, one of which I'll comment on in a little bit, but this does have insulating qualities. So once you're putting it over the sample, obviously you're going to incur less difficulty with dust and whatnot, but also it's going to keep the sample at that target temperature quite nicely. So one important thing to do, and I apologize I can't show you guys because it is an internal component, but really important thing to note with these RX units is the Peltier temperature control system. So what that's doing is once you are putting your sample on, and I'll do this in just a minute here, but once you put your sample on the prism, it's actually going to either heat or cool the sample temperature according to the parameters that you set. So this is really important, especially if you're looking at refractive index specifically. You want to have that control set so that you are taking it at that 20-degree mark. Therefore, if there's a fluctuation, you know that it is due to the sample nature, not the temperature itself. So really nice feature of these RX units is that sample control. I believe that does cover from 5 to 70 degrees with this particular unit, so quite a range there. So that's about it in terms of the design. So I did want to give you guys a look at kind of how the instrument functions here. So saw before there's just a power switch in the back. I'm going to go ahead and flip that on. We can see that we have an out of water reading come up. That's okay. It's letting us know that we aren't properly zero setting right now, but just like with our handhelds, digital handhelds, we're going to want to zero set the instrument first. So make sure with the RXs where we have this sort of high degree of specificity that you are going to use distilled water specifically. So make a note of that. So as we can see, and what's really nice as well, these don't require much in terms of sample volume. So all I have to do is put 0.1 milliliters, and this will do the trick in terms of reading the sample or getting that zero set. So 0.1 milliliters, put that cover plate down. We can go ahead and hit 0 here. I'll try and tilt the unit back a little bit, might be And what's really neat about this instrument is once we have that ground zero set and we're just going through our samples, you do have the flexibility with your different modes to take a reading right away, wait a little bit longer, wait for the temperature to acclimate. So you do have that flexibility, which I hope we'll get into in a second here. I may have jostled the unit a little bit in trying to get better visibility, so we might reset our zero set here. I'm going to go ahead and start our zero set. You can see at the top right we have our different modes selected. With the mode, we can actually determine whether or not we want improved stability, or if we want to just take it right away. So with, I believe mode 2 is selected right now. So this is going to do every so few seconds, it's going to take a measurement at a specific interval and report back to you regardless of the temperature of the sample. So I think because I kept it more stable there, we were able to get our zero set. And we will quickly take a look at the menu before we get to measuring. So just what I was kind of hinting at there with the mode, we can actually go ahead and, so as you can see, we have S1 through 4. This is going to enable us to select, quit, and navigate up and down. So as you can see, there's quite a range of ability, and this is only part of the menu. So we can, adjust the contrast, manually calibrate, access our printer and whatnot. So right now we're going to go to mode 1. So mode 1 is reserved for, this is basically high accuracy. This is going to heat or cool the sample based to the temperature that we indicate here. So if I have that 20 degrees Celsius pre-selected, which is good, it will make sure that our sample also matches that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit down, have my 1. No wait time involved on this. We'll just get a readout as soon as it hits that target. We're going to go ahead and get out of that, and we have things set. You can see mode 1 is established there. Note we do have a minimum and a maximum value specified as well. So that is going to say we're expecting 5 to 80 with our sample in terms of the Brix. So obviously we just have distilled water. We'll see how that does here. So if I just go ahead and hit start, we are going to get that out of scale. So this could be important information, right? If you're kind of tinkering with your sample or you're trying something else, is it within the parameters that I specified? In this case it is not. That gives us immediate feedback. So pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and just quickly change that. So I've got 1, set my sorry, it's a little bit difficult to see here upside down. Make sure that that worked for us. So I think we're at 5 to 80 here. I have a couple different solutions here. So one thing that I want to try is, and quick note here, if you are cleaning your sample stage, just go ahead and use a lint-free wipe. There's a few different options available. but this is really important so that you're not scratching the prism there. So what we're looking at now is about 50% sucrose, half water, half sucrose, which should fall within the bounds of our scale. And looks like everything is selected. We're going to go ahead and hit start. As we can see, it really is just a quick process. Took a couple seconds, and that was with me kind of moving the instrument around a little bit. And we're getting that nice repeatability, 50.02%. More data is better data, right? And we can see, I hope, we have that present and target, which is really cool to see in live time. You can see the present will fluctuate a little bit, the target, and then it will be adjusting in the moment. So one more time here. And it's right at that 20.00 degrees Celsius, so we get that same reading. So perfect repeatability there. We'll take a look at one more sample type here. Again, there's just, when you're dealing with 0 to 100, there's so many different applications available. So regardless of your industry or your needs, it is likely that the RX will cover your needs. And I did want to just reiterate, so this unit does have the ability to give you a readout of the last 30 readings, and that's done just with these SW2 and 3 scales in the menu there. I'm sorry, buttons in the menu there. But again, you can hook up with that special port in the back, the RS232C, and review your data that way. So super handy. You know, you don't have to take handwritten notes in real time or anything. So I've got some generic hot sauce here. So this is a little bit more Brix heavy than our kind of watery solution. So see if we fall within bounds here. We go ahead and start. And we can see we're not, oh, we were pretty close to our target already, so 19.98 moved up to 20, and we got that 11.96. So let's do that one more time here. We're getting right within the same territory. So great repeatability again, and just a couple seconds. So and as we can see, because it's a flat sample stage, super easy to clean. No crevices to deal with or potential for sample buildup really at all. And there may be some questions about Ingress Protection. It is a little bit different with this unit because we do have the intake and exhaust fans to deal with in terms of dust involvement and whatnot. However, I would say the most notable thing is this right here does really well, you know, regardless of how liquidy your sample is, really, so you don't have to worry about exposing the prism or whatnot. So as long as you make sure to clean the prism and sample stage area after use, this is going to do quite well for you in terms of durability. I did want to mention regarding the 0 setting that we did at the beginning. So this is obviously, you know, we suggest this every time you power the unit on. However, in addition to that, if you have left the unit idle for about an hour or so, you haven't measured, we would recommend doing it at that time as well. So hopefully that gives you guys a good feel for just sort of how the unit deals with the samples and the parameters that you can establish and whatnot. I did want to just kind of quickly go over the scale here one more time. So you can set a variety of scales here for whatever purpose you kind of designate, and then it looks like we have a nice visual there. So in addition to the user scales that you have, we do have these modes. So I'm going to quickly go through those. We have our mode 1, so this is going to heat or cool the temperature as we discussed. We also have, this is a little bit older of the RX 5000 Alpha BEV unit, but we do have in the newer iterations, we have mode S. And what this is going to do, so if I cycle through here, we're only going to see 1, 2, or 3. With the newer models, we do have S after 1, so that's going to actually give you improved stability with inhomogeneous samples or basically harder to read samples. So basically what the unit is doing is it's still actively compensating for temperature, but it is also looking at the repeatability based on the sample type and generating, in its formula, it's factoring in its own analysis basically. So it'll take a little bit longer, but you are going to have better results with those kind of inhomogeneous samples. Mode 2, I think we briefly went over, so this is going to just do fixed intervals and give you an estimated reading based on the sample at the target temperature. So even if it's not at that exact target temperature, you are going to get a estimation in those fixed intervals. Mode 3, we can just do a quick, so there's no automatic temperature compensation, just a quick measurement, so to get that out of there. So really quick example of that, and then I'll give you guys the opportunity to ask any questions you might have there. So got that all determined here. We quit out, and we have our mode 3 selected. So this is probably not exactly 20 degrees, and I could be using something, like probably a warm tea or something like that, just as easily, all the way up to 70 degrees Celsius, and it would just generate that immediate reading. So I'm just going to go ahead and start. So as we can see, it's pretty close to that 20, but it's going to just give it in a couple of seconds where we're going to have that reading right away. So really cool kind of range of abilities with this instrument, and even more with the newer iterations, but hopefully that gives you guys a decent feel. And with the scales, you can kind of set the parameters you want, and as we saw at the beginning, because it was out of what we determined as an acceptable range, we were able to see immediate feedback on that. So lots of different abilities there. Yeah, I'd love to open it up for questions if there are any. hopefully you guys got a decent feel for the RX 5000 Alpha BEV, and hopefully our RXs in general. They do operate similarly, but you have slightly different ranges and accuracy levels. So if you have any questions about any of that, please feel free to reach out to us here at Otago. Are we okay on questions? Okay, looks like we're okay. So again, this was on the RX 5000 Alpha BEV. I did want to mention that next week we will have a meetup run by Emily. This is going to be on the PAL Salt probe, so check us out for that. It's going to be at the same time next week. So if you have any questions about any of our RXs, please feel free to reach out to Otago USA. Thank you so much.